Hello, and welcome to Nexus Real Estate Advisors. I'm Scott Lukes, its founder and president. Before today's video, make sure and go to our website, nexusrea.com, and download any of the associated presentations or papers for this video. From our resources page, you can find our resource library, which has a wide range of videos, papers, presentations, and other tools to help almost any level of real estate investor. Also, make sure and subscribe to our Facebook and Twitter to stay informed of when we have new editions, which happen almost weekly. Enjoy the presentation. Welcome to Nexus Real Estate Advisors. I'm Scott Lukes, its founder and president. Today's video is on modeling a real estate investment. Make sure you have our associated tools before viewing the rest of the video. You can access those at nexusrea.com under our resources page. And in our resource library, you'll find the videos, including this one, as well as our different papers and online tools to help with real estate investing. So today we're going to be using both how a real estate investment achieves results, that white paper, as well as this investment modeling tool. I have both Excel and Google versions for you. So we're going to go ahead and use the Google version. So this, I bring up this paper because it was created kind of as a verbal description of the power of the tool that I'm about to go over with you. So in this white paper, How a Real Estate Investment Achieves Results, we take a look at a hypothetical scenario, actually a very typical scenario for, in this case, this is a property that I might buy all the time over in the Fitzsimmons area over in Aurora. And it talks about how this thing achieves its results. So it talks about net rental income and analyzing that. It talks about principal pay down, the power of principal pay down. It then talks about appreciation. It then talks about different tax deductions, including depreciation. By the way, depreciation can be a pretty complicated subject. I have a video as well as a presentation on that as well, if you're interested in learning more about depreciation. And then it analyzes the results. You add all those things together, and using these assumptions, then it kind of, in year one, it looks like this, and here's how your investment grows over time. So the cool thing is, using this modeling tool, this real estate investment modeler, you can, whether you agree or disagree with any of my variables, you can change them on your own. You can even compare properties side by side to see which investment of many is the best for you. First thing I'm going to do, not to freak you out, but I'm going to change my view to 50%, just so you can see kind of the magnitude of this tool. It goes from year 1 to year 70. The charts only go 30 years because that's the only thing that's ever really relevant to me. On the top here, you have all your variables and your inputs, as well as in blue here, some high-level outputs, results of the tool. And then you have all of the different, from mortgage to the net rental income, principal pay down, appreciation, tax deductions, and finally equity. You have all those different elements, but not just for year one. For this goes all the way out to through the life of the property and probably the life of you. So I'm going to zoom back out. Let's go to 75% on my zoom. And by the way, when I go over here to view full screen, it actually still gives me my web browser, but it gives me a little bit more real estate to work with here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move these off to the side here, these charts. We're going to zoom in even further. Why not? Hit escape to get out of that. So let's go to zoom 90%. There we go. And let's go ahead and do our full screen. So anything that's green is an independent variable. It's something that you can change. Anything that's white, don't touch it. I use yellow if ever I make a change to a formula somewhere mid-stroke, just so I can see where it is. And then blue is results. So the variables that we have to work with, I'm not using present market value right now. our $350,000 property might actually be worth $375,000, and for some types of analysis that might be important to us. So I left it in there as a placeholder, but we don't use it in this tool. Our list price is $350. Let's say, for instance, we're going to pay cash and we get a couple points off of the purchase price because we're doing cash and a fast close. So if I enter 2% here on my cash discount, the final purchase price moves down to $343. Let's go ahead and move that back to 0. We're financing this one. We're putting 15% down, which gives us our down payment and our loan amount. And the property is going to appreciate at whatever you want. I say 4% a year. Interest, 5%, 30-year fixed loan, 9% model for taxes and insurance. For 30-year fixed, that's a good thing to use. If you change this to 15 years, change this to 6%. That kind of more accurately reflects what your taxes and insurance would be. So I'm going to change that back to 30, back to 9. And then we have the growth of our taxes and insurance, and I just put that as inflation. We achieve this amount of rent. Our rent's going to grow this much every year. 13% here of rent goes to operating expenses, including management, and then that is going to grow every year also because of inflation. And then we have we can model our vacancy rate also, 5%, 10%, whatever. And then for tax purposes, we have our federal tax bracket, and then we also have what percentages of the land for the depreciation calculation. And so I just typically use a third right off the bat. So before I dig in over here, the neat thing about the tool is that just by changing these variables here, the results that we're kind of curious about, you can see them just right up here. I just kind of regurgitated them up here for you. So we have our net annual rent, we have our principal pay down, we have our appreciation, and then we have our after tax cash benefit, giving us an aggregate return of this 48%. And that's kind of what I expect for a Fitzsimmons type property like this. And so it's really interesting to compare this type of property versus something maybe in more of a white collar neighborhood, how, aggregate return might go down, but appreciation, is much higher than your net rents, potentially. You might actually be losing money on a rental basis on the property, but you're going to be making up for it because the appreciation is going to be higher. So it's just really fun to model all those different things side by side. So indeed, when you come down here, year one is really what we're interested in for most of our analyses. But then again, this calculates all the way out to the life of the property. So we have our net rental income, which is rent minus PITI minus OPEX minus vacancy, giving us a net return of that 1.4%. So $759 divided by our 52.5 initial down gives us a 1.4% return. Same thing here, principal pay down. This is all detailed in that white paper. So we're achieving 43.89 of principal pay down divided by our initial down payment amount. That's an additional 8.4% on that investment, giving us an aggregate now of 9.4%. Appreciation, we've achieved $14,000 of appreciation. This $14,000 right here, right? Divide that by the 52,500, whopping 26.7% return on our initial investment. This is due to the power, of course, of leverage. We did not pay 100% cash for the property. We financed it, making our money go to work for us. And so then we're going to have a return on our appreciation, a good return on our appreciation. Then we have our tax deductions. We have our mortgage interest, taxes and insurance, OPEX, depreciation, and other, in case there's anything else in there that impacts you. So this gives us a total tax deduction of this, but then given that we're in this 22% tax bracket, gives us our cash in pocket value of that tax deduction. And indeed, that's 11.9%. So you add all that up, and that gives you your 48.4, which we find right here. And so yes, we have, if we sell the property, we have depreciation recapture and all that stuff. Again, this is really more to analyze one deal versus another to, so that we're kind of apples and apples when we're assessing our investment options. So the same thing down here, just we kind of take a look at our current value of the property, year one, year two, year three, year four, the original loan amount, the outstanding loan value at the end of the year. Why? Because we paid that much principal. And then we have appreciated this much. So at the end of the year, instead of 52,500 equity, we have 70,889. And that, of course, grows over time. I'm talking fast because YouTube only gives me 15 minutes to do a video. And for a topic like this, it's not enough. But this is more for you to just kind of get the point. So in terms of these pretty charts, it's just a graphical view over 30 years of everything that we just talked about. We have our net rental income, principal paid, annual appreciation, cash in pocket value of those tax deductions. And if I add, let's see, let me go back over here. If I add these things up here, 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 and here, it's 25,409. And that should give me this first year return right here, just to kind of show how all that ties together. And then the same thing here, equity and appreciation. This is really fun to look at because, you know, over time you have a property that you've actually only put 52,500 in, and after 10 years, you have $276,000 of equity in that sucker. Even after 5 years, you have 152,000, which is tripling your money, right? So not a bad investment. I would do these all day long. So that is it for the modeling tool. In the future, I'll probably add a tab that ties all of these. I'll probably do 10 properties, and then I'll probably create a tab that ties them all together and does a side-by-side analysis of all of them. That would be a fun thing to do. But first things first, let's just get you trained up on this, and we'll go from there. So again, Scott Lukes from Nexus Real Estate Advisors. Please be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, because on that, almost, you know, a couple times a week anyway, I announce deals. I announce analysis of news, real estate news, legislation, etc. through these mechanisms. And then, of course, we have our YouTube channel here that has all of our videos. But definitely bookmark this page. It's growing, and it's a great resource for any level of real estate investor. So again, Scott Lukes, Nexus Real Estate Advisors. You have yourself a great day.